Good morning, everyone. This is Mitch. Hope you all have had a fantastic start to your morning, a great start to your weekend as we're getting going here. Today is number one video out of two I'll probably make today. I'll probably do another one this evening, and then I'll do two tomorrow. When it's the weekends, I'm able to do that, especially when we have active weather. When our weather isn't so much active, then I just stick with one video a day. But weekend, I'm going to do two. In this video, we're really going to break down what is newly formed Tropical Storm Grace. You have some big time convective explosions going on this morning. The storm is taking advantage of something we call Dmax, which is diurnal maximum. It's basically when the sea surface temperatures and the air temperatures are the most furthest apart. So you have sea surface temperatures that are probably up into the 80s and air temperatures are probably in the 70s. So you have a difference in temperatures there that causes convection to blow up. So during the morning hours of tropical systems, a lot of times you have a favorable period for basically intensifications of tropical cyclones. And that's kind of what's going on with Grace right now. So we're going to talk about Grace probably in about 70 to 80% of this video. And we'll talk a little bit on Fred, which I still think has a chance to develop into a tropical storm. In fact, I really think it will. But Fred is currently on vacation, it looks like, in and around Cuba. It does not want to leave the Caribbean islands. But we're going to talk a little bit about Fred too. We're going to really break down the tropics as a whole, as it looks like there's more tropical waves coming off the coast of North Africa here in the coming days. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button. Like the video if you like it. Thank y'all for the amazing support. Like I said, y'all give me a platform to talk about what I love, which is the weather. So thank y'all for giving me that platform. Hit the subscribe button, like I said, and thank y'all for the amazing support. So check it out. You have Tropical Storm Grace. It was upgraded to this in the latest 5 a.m. update, which we have the 8 a.m. update now. But I really think that this storm is going to try to take advantage of the next 12 to 18 hours of lower shear, and drier air is probably going to gradually go away, and then before it starts interacting with land. But the latest model guidance have really came in a little bit aggressive, really just talking about the GFS, and we're going to talk about the GFS here in a second. But it's got some good outflow boundaries popping up here. And it's a decent looking tropical storm. It's a weekend, but it's looking pretty good right now. So we're going to talk about Grace. We're also going to take a quick look at Fred right now. This is good old depressed Fred here, tropical depression Fred. It has done something very odd. It has definitely just shifted all its convection south of Cuba. But I think it's going to get a move on here in the next day. And I don't expect much development of Fred today. But I think maybe towards the tail end of the evening overnight, Fred is going to develop. And heads up if you're in Alabama to the western areas of the Panhandle of Florida. Y'all could have tropical storm conditions maybe Monday into Tuesday with a lot of rain coming up in those same areas and even areas of Georgia into the Carolinas. So heads up, because I really think even though this thing does not look that great right now, we're going to have Tropical Storm Fred again here in the next 24 to 48 hours for sure. So we'll talk more about this a little bit later tonight. If you guys have not hit me up on Twitter, definitely hit that link right there on my channel page. Pretty much post on there hourly. So obviously I can't make a video hourly, but I can give y'all updates there. So if you're on Twitter, and I know a lot of people aren't, more people are on Facebook, but and I'm also on Facebook, but I'm just not near as active there. So if y'all have a Twitter, hit the link there, follow me, and I'll keep y'all covered there. So going forward here, I do want to mention briefly before we start breaking down Grace, the latest European ensembles have came in very aggressive. And when you look at this, it doesn't actually have much support of Grace long term, but check out the energy coming off of North Africa here as we get into about 8 to 9 days out. It's really a signal for more tropical waves coming in. These little basically circles are what is 50 to 51 members of the European ensembles trying to pinpoint the next tropical wave coming off the coast of North Africa. So the tropics are not going to slow down anytime soon. I'll tell you that. This is a strong signal for more tropical activity here in the future. So I want to mention that in the early part of the video. So we're going to be talking about the tropics for a while, guys. I'm just letting you know if there's anything short term that comes up in our weather here in the eastern U.S., because that's mainly the area I talk about. Anything crazy, I will make a video about that. I promise you. I got you guys. Tropical Storm Grace. This is the 8 a.m. update. It is Grace. You have tropical storm warnings up for the northern areas of the Lesser Antilles, for Puerto Rico, and it's forecast to stay a tropical storm all the way through 2 a.m. Thursday, which is where this goes out to. The cone of uncertainty goes all the way out till 2 a.m. Thursday of next week. And southern areas of Florida are in the cone of uncertainty. Cuba is, all of the islands. Now, I know I got a lot of people who watch from Jamaica. Y'all need to pay attention to this too, because this could take the more southern route. But most guidance does not show this. So I think Grace, for now, I don't see any huge troubles in Jamaica right now. So the struggle with guidance here is some guidance has this moving north of the Caribbean islands. If that's the case, then basically the importance of what happens to Grace here in the short term, meaning the next 12 to 24 hours, tells us how strong I think this is going to be in the medium term, if that makes any sense, in the long term. So we have to watch Grace and to see if it tracks more north of its guidance. I really do. If it stays kind of where it's supposed to, it's going to interact with land again. Maybe a little bit further north than what Fred did. But if it interacts with land, that is the biggest stumbler, if you will, of preventing Grace from really taking off. Another big one is something we're going to talk about here in a second, is a Tut interaction, a low-level, basically an upper-level low that's kind of digging here that's going to provide shear. The storm is dealing with a little bit of shear right now, but it's actually right at this moment in somewhat favorable conditions for development. So I really think this will upgrade a little bit higher here in the updates today to maybe 45, 50 mile per hour storm. Right now it's a 40 mile per hour storm, and it's moving very quickly west at 22 miles an hour. That's pretty quick for a tropical cyclone. So we'll continue to watch this. But if you're in Florida, the southern areas of Florida, you're in the cone of uncertainty. So this is the latest kind of guidance from 06Z, so the morning runs of some basically some hurricane models here. And you notice some of them do take the northern route. If this takes the northern route, it's going to be stronger. It's going to be able to ride a ridge of high pressure right here a little bit more. It's going to be able to control its own destiny a little bit more. Yes, it's going to interact with shear, but it's going to be able to be a little bit stronger if it does not interact with land. Most guidance has this staying a tropical storm for a while, but the storm, the guidance that does avoid land has this making it to a hurricane. And we have to watch this long term, even when it gets off land, to see if it sneaks into the Gulf of Mexico, like Fred, or if it starts to curve and really ride the southeast coast. So we'll talk about that here. And check out, this is the latest GFS. The GFS has been quiet since about 24 hours ago when it had a major hurricane off the coast of the southeast. But check out the latest model guidance here. Keeps it as a tropical storm, gets it, impacts Puerto Rico, kind of what I really think it's going to do. If you're in Puerto Rico, this is definitely going to impact y'all. It's probably a tropical storm. But check it out. It begins to deepen, which means it begins to strengthen as it starts to flirt with the Bahamas, the southeastern areas of the Bahamas. We're getting into Tuesday morning. Landfall of Fred is occurring, was a weak tropical storm off the GFS, according to the GFS. But this is a storm that's starting to get sub 1,000 millibars, especially as it gets into the Bahamas. But it's still in the Bahamas as probably a tropical storm as we get late week. And then it's starting to strengthen maybe a little bit. And then maybe a weak hurricane landfall overnight Thursday into Friday, maybe into southern areas of Florida. But this is just one model guidance, one model run. But something interesting occurs here. It actually still strengthens even though it's interacting with land here and moving here. If my panels would work, which they're not really wanting to. Here we go. Moving here, it's riding now. It sneaks into the western areas of Florida as we get into this time next weekend, Saturday morning, as a decent hurricane, Category 1, Category 2 hurricane, rides the Florida Peninsula and then affects Georgia into the Carolinas. That's just one run. That's it. But that would have big time effects for Florida, Georgia, into the Carolinas, even up to Virginia. You look at the latest European from overnight, the OOZ run, and it just pretty much shows Grace just basically being just tropical moisture, tropical wave, and it never really develops it. But what you do watch is these tropical waves that begin to move off the northern coast of Africa, especially this one next weekend that quickly starts to develop immediately right here. So that's something interesting to watch. The latest GFS looking at Grace right here, and this is starting at about tonight. A lot of the models have it taking the same path as the cone of uncertainty that the National Hurricane Center is showing. But you notice the ones that are north right here, you notice the more yellowish colors, that signifies more deepening, more stronger storm scenarios. You notice those are the stronger scenarios, the ones that do survive and go more north. So that's what we have to watch. And there's a couple stronger scenarios that kind of move it right into the southern areas of Florida as a hurricane, strong tropical storm. And then some of them get back into the Gulf of Mexico and have a pretty significant storm. So we'll continue to watch that. It's definitely something worth monitoring. And let's get off this screen. And then you check this out. So this is shear, and I want you to watch the Tut interaction, the upper level low that really begins to affect the storm. Right now, Grace is in decently favorable conditions for just some slow strengthening, if you will. But moving in time, and this is, I'm just showing the latest GFS, it starts to interact with some shear, northerly shear, northwest shear, with a kind of a dip right here, which you call an upper level low. You can call it a Tut, whatever you want to call it. There's strong shear in place. Meanwhile, Fred's dealing with shear in the northern end too. So this storm's going to be dealing with shear regardless, wherever it is, to the north, the northerly direction. It's also going to be dealing with land interaction. So we'll see what it's going to do. You know, I think the latest GFS does a good job of, if the northern scenario does play out, that it does a good job not crazy strengthening it all, because I don't think that's realistic based off all the shear in place that prevents tropical development. So I think the GFS does a great job of showing what happens as far as the intensity of Grace if it takes a little bit more the northern route. I really do think that. You look at the steering currents, which we look at the wind streams at 200 millibars here. It kind of shows you what goes on here. It does a great job showing that dip right here, which creates shear. And it's just going to be interesting seeing what happens with this. There's always weird things going on in the atmosphere that creates a steering flow, ridge of high pressure, upper level lows, cold fronts. And for instance, you know, just focus on this right here, which would be Grace. Check it out. This is a big time cold front moving through. This actually right here, moving through right in here. I'm pointing to it like you can see my finger on the screen or so. It's funny, you know, this could be our first fall air mass coming in for certain areas of the eastern U.S. I really think, and this cold front has been showing up for the last 3 or 4 days. I really think this will be a player in kind of steering long-term whatever's left of Grace, whether it's just some tropical moisture, whether it's a hurricane. It'll be a great player, I think, long-term in steering whatever's left of Grace. So we'll continue to watch this. I'll have y'all update this evening. I hope y'all have a great Friday. God bless everybody, and y'all have a great day.